Chapter 2 Marble. The last days of afternoon sun were filtering through the forest as we approached the border. Visualize. Gradually, the trees thinned out and the path widened. Several trails merged into ours. It seemed as if all the paths out of Cambodia were converging on this one spot on the Thai border. I could barely contain my excitement. I imagined mountains of rice lining the horizon and piles of tools and fishnets everywhere. Perhaps there would even be mounds of sweet, moist coconut cakes and banana-filled fritters. Hurry, I urged my brother. Yet, as we finally emerged from the forest, all we could see was a vast barren plain, dotted with shrubs and scraggly trees, flat and desolate. Overgrown clumps of fireweed and red sorrel stuck out from patches of buffalo clover. And then, even those gave way to the cracked, hard soil of paddy fields in the dry season. As we drove further through the scrubland, though, I noticed that there were signs of life in the distance, of people in ox carts so far away that at first they looked like black specks. Saroon urged our oxen on, and soon we could see more evidence of human activity. The branches of the few trees around had been chopped bare for firewood. Mud holes had been dug for buffaloes to wallow in, and makeshift fences had been built around small vegetable gardens. We drove past these and approached the fringe of the refugee camp itself. It looked like an endless brown sea of thatched lean-tos, mingled with bright blue patches from clusters of plastic tents. Spirals of smoke from countless cooking fires broke up the vast flatness of the landscape. We paused. We passed women taking down laundry from lines, children spinning tops near the makeshift shelters, and quiet groups of people sitting around, chatting. Why did it look so familiar and yet so unusual? And it suddenly struck me everyone was part of some family, not the cold-blooded Khmer Rouge version, the state as family, but a living, laughing, loving family. I looked around and wondered, even though many people seemed to be only fragments of a family, a frail grandmother with several young toddlers or a group of young boys clustered around a few old men. They were a family just the same, like a patchwork blanket, I thought. The people here were survivors of families who had been ripped apart and then joined again. And everyone seemed to be busy doing something, not just sitting alone, silent and hollow-eyed with hunger, or organized into huge groups digging endless ditches. No, the people here were preoccupied with countless different chores of their own. I saw a sinewy old man splitting firewood, children lining up to draw buckets of water from a well, boys scrubbing their buffaloes in a shallow mud hole, nearby sisters combing each other's hair, and because it was getting close to dinner time, there were women cooking everywhere. I could smell rice steaming, salted fish sizzling, and hot oil spiced with chili, peanuts roasting. I even thought I caught a whiff of coconut cakes. It's like coming home, Mother said, with quiet wonder. I knew exactly what she meant. Nong Chan was a strange place, unlike anything we had ever seen before. A vast, barren field teeming with refugees, but in the bustling quiet of dusk, it had the feel of our village during the years of peace before the fighting had started, when farmers would come in from the fields as their wives fanned the charcoal fires and their children bathed with fresh well water. Driving our ox cart, Saroon maneuvered the oxen through the scattered campsites until it became too crowded for the animals to move easily. He jumped down and led the oxen by the reins, threading his way carefully among the families. He headed for a well near a forked tree where there was a shallow creek in which buffaloes were wallowing. Several clusters of people were already settled there, with their thatched lean-tos and small fires, but nearby there was some empty space that no family had staked out for its own yet. "This looks like a good spot," Zaroon said, turning to Mother. "It's only going to get more crowded further in." Mother nodded, and together we got off the cart and started to unload our few belongings while Zaroon unhitched the oxen. "Poor things, you've both earned a rest," he murmured to them, patting the animals' thin flanks as he led them off to the waterhole nearby. Mother looked around for a place to set down her kettle and sleeping mat. A girl spoke up. "Put your things over here, if you like." She was kneeling, stirring a pot of bubbling rice and smiling up at us. Mother set down the kettle she was holding, and I helped her put her sleeping mat beside it. "Welcome to Nong Chan," the girl said. She looked about Zaroon's age, 18 or 19, and had a broad face with high cheekbones. There was a bright checkered kerchief wrapped around her hair, and her eyes were friendly and curious. "Where do you come from?" she asked. "Siem Reap," Mother answered. "Really?" The girl brightened. "So do we. Our village is right next to the lake." "That makes us practically neighbors," Mother said, squatting down companionably beside the girl. "How many of you have come over to the border?" "There's 4 of us. My grandfather and my 2 little cousins," the girl said. "And your parents?" "Dead," the girl said simply. "As are my sisters and the parents of the cousins with us." She gave the pot of rice a quick stir. "My grandson and 3 brothers too, all dead."